So welcome to this interview. I'm Father Chris Fallon, the module leader for this module on building parish communities, and I'm delighted to welcome Father Paul Cannon and Mrs. Sharon Beech, who are the authors of your set book for this module, Welcome to Witness, Becoming an Evangelizing Parish. So to begin with, do you want to just tell us a bit about yourselves?
Yeah, sure. I'm a priest in Salford Diocese and currently parish priest for Guardian Angels and St Hilda's, two parishes that are working towards amalgamation. Background, I spent 7 years working with the Catholic Missionary Society based in London and moving around for parish missions and evangelisation work. And then after that, I had a year's sabbatical when I was at the Institute for Pastoral Studies in Loyola in Chicago.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And had a great year there doing a Masters in Adult Religious Education.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm Sharon, and I've worked in Salford Diocese for 23 years alongside Paul. And I'm a mum of 3 children, married now, and 5 grandchildren. And I chose to do my Masters at the age of 50. And I did that at Liverpool Hope. Basically, that's me.
Great. And so you work now as the administrator and pastoral assistant?
Pastoral and administrative assistant at Guardian Angels and now St Hilda's.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this book comes out of your work in that parish and the work that you did together in the Department for Evangelisation in Salford Diocese.
Yeah,
That's right.
I did.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell us a bit about what led you to try this model of building up a parish community?
I think it just evolved as time went on. I think a big influence was actually America. Mm-hmm. So I was there for 1 year, and at the same time I was doing the Masters, I really wanted to live in a parish, so I lived in a parish in Chicago as well, and just managed to get involved into it and saw some things that happened there. And you had a different time. You lived in Detroit.
I lived in Detroit for 3 years and was very involved in the parish in Detroit. So knew that there was a different model that could be used within parishes. And initially, when Paul asked me if I would like to be parish secretary, I knew that model would work, and that there was a lot more involved in a parish than just people coming on a Sunday to Mass and going home again. That it was a community, and it was a community that had to be welcome and welcoming. And I think, like Paul said, it had evolved. We were actually pushed into doing it by Dennis McBride, because we'd had him in the parish and when we were with the department, we asked him to come and do things for us. And eventually, after dropping hints for about 2 years, we sat down at dinner one night and he said, "I'm going to just come out with it. I want you to write a book." And we just thought, no, why? And he said, because I've never seen a parish where evangelisation is pushed so much and is at the forefront of everything that you do. And we said, well, all right, fine, we'll talk about it. And we did, didn't we?
So Dennis is a Redemptorist priest who works for Redemptorist Publications.
Yeah, he's the commissioning editor, I think that's his correct title.
Right.
And he wanted something that was very practical and not too technical in terms of the language that was used and the concepts that were being used. And I remember having a meeting with him, and he said on one occasion, because he was edited the book for us, and he said, "We want this book to be not just good, we want it to be great, because it's bringing alive episodes and incidents where there's been evangelisation in so many different kind of ways, just through things that happen in the parish." And so he sent us away and said he wanted 12 particular kind of examples of the evangelising parish touching people's lives at certain times. and not just in the parish. In the book we talk about incidents in some prison work that we did as well, but that it was about trying to emphasise, first thing is welcome. If people don't feel welcome, they're not going to come back. And so in the title, Welcome to Witness, welcome was the obvious choice as the first word. And that's what we try to do, is try to ensure that everyone feels welcome. And so then things started to evolve in terms of the book. We then had to start thinking, so what do we do about that? How are we doing that? And so the process, or the kind of just the way that we are in the parish, evolved.
So the process of writing the book helped you to reflect on what you're actually doing and set it out in a more systematic way.
Yeah, it
That's
did.
right.
Yeah. And drawing up things like the audit in the book. Obviously, the people in the parish became the guinea pigs for absolutely everything that's in that book. They've been involved in it, and we've tried and tested various different approaches to things. The audit has all been done within the parish, and we still keep on trying to do audits about all kinds of different aspects of ministry and parish life. So we still keep on top of that.
And also the use of some of the key documents about evangelization is very much embedded in this book, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and more so in the second book as well. The second book just basically widens it out, but the welcome aspect of it is, obviously the main aspect of evangelization is witness, and the welcome that you give in a parish is what develops the witness, and that's where evangelization takes place. And it was we were adamant that the welcome would be for everyone, and because you know if you've been in a parish yourself, you get people who come and they feel because of their own circumstances that they won't be made welcome. In my own life, I found in my mid-40s I was on my own, and because of those circumstances I didn't know whether my parish was going to welcome me in that circumstance, and it did. And out of that I was then able to translate that into what we put in the book, because if I hadn't have had that re-welcoming as a single person, then I may have not moved on, and I may have gone away from the parish.
So
and it's
some
about
of your
everything.
personal experience has fed into this.
That's right.
And also, Paul, you mentioned that you worked in the Catholic Missionary Society, so you used to going in and doing short missions in parishes. But that's very different from sustaining evangelization and over a period.
Yeah.
So what would you say are the key things? You've mentioned the welcome. What are the key other steps in this process?
I think, first of all, you mentioned the document, the various documents that are in there. That's a key thing, because so often they can kind of just be the preserve of the clergy and of theologians and of people who are doing a degree in theology and all of that, and it doesn't really get to the people in the benches. And so, by including a lot of the documentation in the book, we're hoping that then opens up those documents to people, and they're such powerful documents, helping us to understand what we are about. And I think the key things that have come through is that it's about faith, it's about prayer, it's about witness, and it's about inviting. And we have a story, a true story that's in the book, where I think that is really summed up, where we encourage people during Advent, during Lent, light a candle for someone who you would love to see come back to a practice of faith. And we didn't know about it, but there was one of the parishioners who was lighting a candle faithfully all the time during Lent, and it came to just before the Easter Vigil, and she was getting ready to come out, And she just shouted up the stairs to her husband, who hadn't been to church for a long, long time, "I'm going to the vigil. Do you want to come with me?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll be down in 5 minutes." So she prayed. She'd given witness. She'd expressed her faith. But she actually said to him, "Do you want to come with me?" And so there was the invitation that was given. And he's still there.
And that's a step that Catholics are so often reluctant to take, isn't
Yeah.
it? To actually
Yeah.
make the invitation,
Yeah.
but to prepare for it with the prayer,
That's it.
and to do that as part of a parish invitation
Yeah.
is powerful. So, what would you say? You've been in this parish quite a long time now.
Yeah.
What would you say the difference? What difference has working in this way made over those years?
I think people feel that they're engaged in the work of evangelization. They're not shy of reaching out to new people. If they see people, they will go and make them welcome, and they'll reach out to them and find out a little bit about them. So I think it's engaged people. They now know what evangelization is. Fortunately, it's sunk in. And they know that they actually can do this, that they can be involved in it. It's not just something that I do as parish priest, that Sharon does because she's employed. It is something that they can all do. And so I think
And
there's
people, we find in it, they use the word. You know, they talk about evangelisation because it's part of the culture within the parish. You know, and people will come to us and say, "There's a new parishioner. Did you see them?" You know, and we'll say, "Oh no." Paul usually sees them because he sits facing the congregation, but you know, I'll miss them. And they'll say, "Yeah, I had a word." You know, and they're such and such a body. I've told them to come in for coffee next week. So they evangelise. They make people welcome, and people communicate. You know, and it enhances what we do in our job. It makes our job easier. Yeah.
And you're now taking on a second parish which doesn't have this tradition, and so obviously in Guardian Angels you've had time over years to build things up. So as you think about that new situation, what are the key things that you're trying to promote to change that parish in the same way?
I think the welcome to start with, and just developing any opportunities that are presented to us where we can reach out to people. So we particularly reach out through the schools. So now we have 3 primary schools, but we never just do anything in the parish and presume that somebody's going to read it on the newsletter or off the website. We would deliberately send a letter to the schools to tell the parents, you know, we're starting a new Seeking Christ program, which is our version of RCIA. We just call it Seeking Christ. We will always tell the schools about it, send a letter to every parent, and out of that, over the last few years, we've had a lot of parents from the school with funerals, with baptism, with marriages, all of those things. We've got to build up with those opportunities to show people the face of the church as it is now.
So have you found that you have new people joining the Catholic Church each year?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Over the last, I'd say over the last 6 years, we've had probably about 60 people. Over the years, we've had an 11, a 10, a 9, you know, and
7 this year.
7 this year. And they come from various things, from the schools, like Paul said, people who've had bereavements, and we incorporate it with the Seeking Christ with a program called Awakening Faith. So that's designed for people who have been away from the church. So we bring them in with our prospective Catholics as well, because we want these people who are coming back to the faith, there's no point in offering them the Catholic version of the church that they left behind, because they left it behind. So we bring them back, and they actually help the new Catholics understand where the church has moved from, and it helps them. And at the end of the process, our existing Catholics who have come back to the faith will say, well, I got so much out of that because of the people who didn't know what went before, because they were so open and fresh to what we were talking about. So in that respect, and with regard to the other parish, we've tried very hard not to make them feel, because Guardian Angels is such an active parish, not to feel like the poor relation, and that they were being bolted onto us, because they're not, because they've really had a lot to offer us as well, so it's working well.
It's a new opportunity, and it's quite an exciting opportunity, and you'll know what it's like, that you arrive in a place and it's like, how am I going to go on? What's it going to be like? And this sort of new opportunity, as we kept talking about for the first few weeks particularly, is going to be a challenge for us. It's going to have to be change, but we will learn together how we can keep moving forward together. And there's been a great sort of optimism and enthusiasm, and it's widening out the things that we can do, because now we've got even more people to get involved. I think one of the sort of key things that we'll always try to get over is that everybody's got a right to hear the good news, and every Christian has a duty to be the ones to share that good news wherever they are and whenever they can. And if we kind of keep that as a sort of an undertone all the way through parish life, with the various different things that happen, then people are being reached out to.
So it's a kind of underlying attitude that is there in everything that you do, rather than just certain specific programs.
Yeah.
Coming back to the documents, this book, Welcome to Witness, introduces people very much to Evangelii Nunciandi, which was 1970. 5 or 6, and to Evangelii Gaudium, which is Pope Francis's first letter, and the second book, which is just further reading, a further resource in terms of our module, To Know Him, Love Him and to Serve Him, adds in Laudato Si about the environment, and Amoris Laetitia about family life, and the key way in which that's used is to use those to audit what is happening. So is that asking, for instance, in relation to Laudato Si, how green is the parish? And in Amoris Laetitia, what is it we're doing for all the different types of families that are addressed there?
Yeah, I think we were then asked to look at developing the aspect of parish evangelization teams, and we did a pilot project on it, and what we found, we said maybe we shouldn't be asking them to do too many meetings for formation, and we were wrong on that. And
you mean that they wanted to?
They wanted to do more.
We gave them 4,
and they wanted to
and they wanted 8.
Oh, they wanted 8. So it was worth doing the sort of the pilot. But what we also did find was that some people said, well, yeah, that's all right, but let's just get on with it. So we had to strike that balance of, you need this time of formation, because without the time of formation, you're just going to go into the sort of stage of action and not really know why you're doing that. And so using the documents was another great way of opening up these documents for people, where people would kind of say, blimey, I didn't realise the Pope had said this. I didn't realise he'd said this about creation and about the environment, And
I mean, they were a gift for us, really,
because
they just came
at the right time.
At the right time, and what better subjects, family life and the environment, and it developed really quickly, wasn't it? Because we were able to open it up, and people, you know, when we first did it, people in the parish bought the documents, and they had this whole new enthusiasm, and it was like, you know, and I mean, Pope Francis is a gift, isn't he? You know, everything that he's done, we've used. So it's actually connected them to him, you know.
And it's challenged the parish in terms of how we treat people, and so, you know, dementia awareness. That's something that we're now developing in both of our churches, changing people's perception of it, and seeing how we can reach out there in a particular way. Our young people, they're really into the environment, and so they've been working very, very hard on environmental issues, and they're being nominated for a national award because of the
bug hotel.
A bug hotel that they've built in the grounds, which is 6-storey, and it's called Buckingham Palace. And so that's our sort of teenage group that have been doing that. So again, it's bringing church teaching into their everyday life, involving them, and they feel great that they've been doing something.
And the other great thing about Laudato Si is the way Pope Francis links care of the environment with the care of the poor, because, as he says, if the environment suffers, the people who are most affected by it will be the poor and the weak. So, coming to the end of our little chat together, if there was one piece of advice you can give to the people who are studying this module, most of whom are a single lay person in a parish community, maybe not in a leadership position, how can they best use this approach to enliven their parish?
I think I think we all have to become aware of the fact that it's our parish. We have to communicate with each other, and we have to take on the responsibility. You know, we're responsible for each other, and the only way we can do that is that, you know, that there's lots of things in the book that they can do, they can put into action, and it is all about action. It's about talking to each other and realising that, you know, Paul might be the parish priest, but it's our parish and it's our community, and you have to work at it. And if there are people who've left the parish or left the church, we have to try and help them to understand that they're coming back to something different. That, you know, it is a community.
And I think with the books, one of the strengths is the fact that it does lead to action. So you can talk about it forever, but until we actually talk about it, get a little bit deeper into what it's all about, look at some of the church documents and see the inspiration that's in those, and then start to look at things like the audits about different aspects of parish life, because you begin to discover what we've got. And in so many parishes, we've got a lot of stuff that we don't really realise we've got. We've got people doing so much that, you know, maybe they don't even think it's about evangelization and building community, but it is. And then we can see what we haven't got and how we can address that issue. So it's the formation and the action. And somewhere in one of them, I think we put, and don't think that you're alone, which is what you were saying. It's part of being a community, and then sort of share the word with other people. You know, say, isn't it amazing? We've got this in our parish. Did you know we had it? And so many things start to emerge.
And I think for people like new deacons, I think if they realise they're in a privileged position, but they're not on their own. You know, that there are people out there that can assist them in what they do and tap into what you've got, you know.
And that's going to be a new development in the Salford diocese, deacons emerging on the scene.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for sharing this time with us, and I hope that it's brought the book alive a little bit to actually see and hear the people who are behind it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sharon.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you.